Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He's speaking to us from Arizona. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Mark, do we have a special offer for our listeners this week?
Yeah, we're going to go give everyone a shot. We're feeling good this week, so we're going to give them a 50% off offer this week. It's one just this week, so take advantage of it, folks. 50 off on any of the VR newsletters for any of the time frames. So you go to VRTrader.com, and when you go to the order page for the letter that you select, you enter the promo code 2021 half off, 2021 HALF off. 2021 HALF off, and you get half off. So there we go.
We were commenting off air about how the markets are so much different this time around, where we have sector rotation. Before, everybody went up and down at the same time, but now it's like certain sectors are hot for a day, a week, even a month, and then all of a sudden it switches to somebody else. Is this a time where forget about wearing work boots, you better have tap dance shoes on?
Well, you know, at the same time that's happening, you're still getting the overall market pushing higher. So those people, smart people, I guess, passive investors who just stayed with the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ have been rewarded, even though we've had some pretty nasty volatility in this past year or so. So that's also happening, and the party continues to rage on as money printing continues and free money is being handed out and government subsidies are out there for all kinds of industries. So that's also going on. But yeah, to your point, it's been very interesting the last few years. You know, we talked about, you know, if in a down market, people were more looking for help and might be more interested in looking to a newsletter writer like myself or to their advisor. But now we've got all this crazy sector stuff going on. And one good example now is what's going on in the crypto, you know, market. Some really hot stuff, thousands of % return in some of these things. And for most people, they really don't understand it. And I have to tell you, even though we do a crypto letter, which is one of our options on our VR Trader homepage, I'm learning every day. I mean, there's this new stuff. I think I've heard 7,000 different cryptos are out there and tokens and all this kind of stuff, and there's so much you can't even stay on top of it. So if you just looked at Bitcoin or XRP or Ethereum, you know, some of the big name cryptos, that's fine, and they are tradable, a lot of action. But a lot of people are sort of missing the boat because it seems like what happened to gold, which should have been thousands of dollars higher during all these uncertainties, but the money seems to be directed into the crypto market, particularly young people. I mean, they're in there trading this stuff. I mean, some of these cryptos are trading at fractions of a penny, and they go to several dollars or more. Even Bitcoin started that way. So a lot of action in that market, and so we produce a letter for that, and that's sort of a sector. And then, just a few years ago, still sort of hot to many investors is the cannabis sector. We launched the cannabis letter back in 2014, and some of these stocks were virtually trading under $1. I mean, some of them exploded under $1 to $50, like Canopy Growth, for example, the Canadian name. So a lot of interest is focusing on, well, hey, teach me or tell me a little bit about the cannabis stocks and how I could participate there. So you got the crypto and the cannabis, and then, of course, gold, silver is there's always a diehard gold bug somewhere. And the gold has done well, but it's been volatile. And it's also being manipulated and held back, unfortunately, over the years. So a lot of government involvement there, but still there's a lot of people who are convinced that at some point the reins are going to be let loose and Gold's going to go to the moon. I did this crazy little put this little crazy article in my newsletter this week, talking about mining gold on asteroids. And there's actually articles on this, and there's this tremendous amount of gold out there floating out in outer space in the asteroid belt. And as far as I'm concerned, it may already be occurring, because we got an advanced space program out there, which I've alluded to in my newsletter, which most people don't even believe exists, but I do believe is a very strong possibility of existing based on what I've read and heard. But they could already be mining gold on asteroids using the technology we have now. And if that's really true, and they're bringing this back to Earth and selling it, that could be a big depressant on the gold market. And, they need gold for technological reasons, for all kinds of, mechanical and, programming devices and so forth. We know that's, of course, we need a lot of special metals, including for the electric vehicles and so forth. But I'm just saying there's really fun stuff going on out there, and if something like that's really true, Jim, I know it sounds a little left field, but I know they are planning on mining asteroids for strategic metals, and there's a lot of research talking about this now, and as far as I'm concerned, it could already be happening. So I wouldn't be holding my breath for 10,000, 20,000 gold is what I'd say. I'd rather bet that some crypto is going to take off on a significant, 10 or 100 times a speculative surge at some point because of all the action and the disbelief or I guess concern about the value of currencies with all the government printing going on and the tremendous amount of debt that's out there and the fact the government wants to control your life and check on your banking accounts and digitize everything. So there could be more play in the crypto market. It already has proven that. Some are up thousands of percent. Than there would be in the gold and silver market, whether they're mining for this stuff in outer space or not. But, to get to my point that we do have a gold and metals resource letter, and we do talk about it. And, gold's in this time frame now where it tends to bottom into the summer and have a rally into the first quarter of the following year, and we'll see if that pattern unfolds or not. So, it may be tradable here, and we'll just see how far it goes.
Would cryptos be kind of a safe haven in the sense that right now Canada and the U.S. have legislation that allows the government to dip into your bank account to either save themselves or to save a bank that's in trouble? If it's in cryptos, could they do that?
Well, they're talking about creating their own cryptos, from what I hear. The government would create its own digitized, its own version of the Bitcoin, and they would convert all your money that's in your bank account overnight to some digitized currency. Supposedly you wouldn't lose anything, but now it would not be, dollars per se. It would be, some value in these various, cryptos that are created. But the point up to this point was to try to hide, protect yourself and to hide yourself from the government. And, they were always concerned that illegal activity was occurring and that the whole thing was illegitimate. But, that's just bad press. I mean, people were trying to protect themselves, same reason they would buy gold or physical assets like real estate or anything else. It's just that the crypto thing was electronic. It's on the computer. It's easy to do. There's a whole young generation of people that just love this stuff and have been successful in trading it. I mean, there's been multimillionaires made in this market, as you probably know. I mean, it was only about a year and a half ago, Bitcoin was like $2,000-3,000. Now it's $60,000 for a coin. I mean, it's just incredible what's going on. And that's not even the biggest percentage gain by any stretch. What I'm saying is, people were looking to the coins as a hedge and a protection. Now the question is, can the government come in and do something to screw you up? I don't know. I think it's a bunch of jawboning, because even Janet Yellen was talking about this. I think we discussed this in a previous interview about, how Bitcoin is problematic and it's not going to be around and they don't approve it or whatever. But this is just jawboning. I mean, this is just, I don't think they could really do anything. I mean, the whole point, unless they shut down the internet, basically the whole point of it is to do stuff away from the government, to protect yourself and to trade accordingly. And of course, a lot of legitimacy was given just recently when Elon Musk comes out and says he's accepting Bitcoin to buy a car, for example. And he's in this other coin, I think it's Dogecoin, D-O-G-E coin. Some people call it doggy coin. And so these other coins are being given legitimacy by companies, many big like Tesla, who are accepting them as a currency for exchange of products. So I don't know how it's going anywhere. If anywhere, it's going to get bigger and better, in my opinion. And the government maybe just shut out in their ability to really stop it, even though they feel like they should. I don't know why they should, but I guess when they feel like they're losing control and they deserve to lose control because they've mismanaged the economies for decades. So that's a whole other argument. But the Federal Reserve in and of itself has destroyed the U.S. dollar since it was created, down 97% in value since 1913. So these government, when government's involved, you got trouble.
Over a decade ago, Richard Branson, Mr. Virgin, said he would accept Bitcoin as payment for his $20,000 proposed tourist space flights. Well, at the time, Bitcoin, I think, was $200, so I think he's a little ahead of the game right now.
Yeah, well, it's 60,000. Some people are predicting, and I mean, these are not crazy predictions. People that I respect, and I'm not saying they're going to be right, but some are predicting $500,000 to $1 million for Bitcoin, and it's now 60,000. And whether that's happening or not, we just got to watch the charts. And they seem to be still positive. I think right now Bitcoin's around 60. I would say in my charts I could see 80,000, and we'll take it from there. And there's been predictions for 100,000 for several years, and whether it gets to those big numbers, we'll see. But yeah, there are businesses like Branson and Musk and others that are, and the whole list of them. I'm just throwing out two names that are accepting the coins and the currency as a form of payment. It's just another currency. And it's just the way the trend has unfolded here in recent years. It's just something it's not changing. It's going to get bigger, stronger, and better, and it's not going anywhere. If you think it's not, then you missed the boat.
The NBA is offering to pay players in Bitcoin.
Correct. I mean, I'm sure you could cite dozens of examples. I've read stuff every day of what's going on there. Companies are accepting it. There are several. I'm trying to think of the name of the public company. It escapes me now. 3 years ago, was accepting coins even before these other people accepted them. So you got to get on the boat. You got to own some of them. It's an asset diversification. It's like you own some real estate, you own the stock market, you own some gold. You got to own some currencies. You got to pick one if you want to go for the big one, Bitcoin. But there are a lot of smaller ones that are cheaper out there. You can go to let's talk about Coinbase. COIN, ticker symbol, just went public yesterday. I think it was the offering price $250 a share. Went to $425 during the day. It's somewhere in the low 300s today, and they're the biggest. I believe they're the biggest marketplace for people to buy Bitcoin and a couple other Ethereum and a couple of the other big names. So some people are predicting $700 a share or more for coin. The Coinbase is again a platform that allows you to purchase the cryptos. So not all of them, but a few of them. So that was a big, and they raised money privately. I mean, not privately, but they did it not through an IPO. They did it through like subscription on the internet. You could have gone in and just bought shares. And what was interesting about that transaction was you could immediately have sold them. There was no holding period for the stock, like if you do any private placements or inside purchases before a company goes public. I believe you can instantly have sold your shares yesterday, and like I say, it went as high as $425 a share. So there's going to be more of this coming too. More companies raising capital for this market. So, like I say, if you think it's going somewhere, you're wrong. It's going nowhere. You're wrong. It's going somewhere.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, if you're not into cryptocurrencies, is there any other sector that's super hot?
Good question. What sector? Well, there's a lot that have been hot that have corrected back. For example, the infrastructure stocks, things like the copper names, Martin Marietta. Vulcan Materials, having to do with the rebuilding of America and so forth and so on. So you got copper, steel names. There's still, I don't think it's over, but there's still interest in the solar sector. In fact, many of these stocks have pulled back nicely, and they seem to me very attractive now, and they've really pulled back substantially, some 20-30% off their highs. So I don't think solar is over, so we got to keep an eye on those. And just off the top of my head, those are just two that come to mind. And of course, I would also say aerospace. You mentioned Branson before, and his company with regard to the Virgin Atlantic and taking people into outer space. Well, a lot of aerospace stocks are showing a lot of life here. Now, this has to do with China and potential military action or just growth of our space program. But one of our recommendations is ITA, which is a ETF for the aerospace industry, and we're long that one because it participates in all the big names in the aerospace industry. So that index, by the way, is not into all-time highs as many other indexes are. So I think there's some catch-up. So that's one of our positions. So aerospace still seems to be in play.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after the break.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, I know you like to keep an eye on geocosmic events or possibilities. Anything happening there?
Yeah, people sort of laugh at me when I talk about, and I apologize because I don't have my screen open here. I know maybe I could find it during the course of the interview. So, they sort of joke a little bit that, I mentioned asteroids and, geocosmic risks that are out there. There's something going on, Jim, and, I don't want people, hanging up and thinking that this commentator's, totally, from left field here, but, just I'm trying to pull up the story. There was a close miss on an asteroid just a few days ago, and let's see here if I can find the article or not. But anyway, there was a close. I wouldn't say close to the extent of just barely missing us. It still was a little distant out there, but it was enough that it created a news story in one of the major periodicals. So there was something going on. We did have quote unquote a closer intersection with one of these extraterrestrial objects, and they're out there. There's a whole website you can go to for asteroids. I actually put it into my newsletter, and there's agencies, government agencies, and others, and not only European as well as U.S. that are tracking these things, and they track the exact distance they are from the Earth, and they have the exact numbers on the screen. You can pull it up if you go to my newsletter. I sometimes post the link for those. So I keep an eye on that. There's also been a little bit of an increase in solar activity. Solar activity can have dramatic effects. You've cited an instance, over 100 years ago where it did some stuff. We keep an eye on that. A lot of volcanic activity going on now. There's this volcano, the St. Vincent Islands. They're covered with ash, and they're evacuating people down there. And they just had a big cliff that fell. The falling of a cliff, you probably heard about this, in 60 years in the United Kingdom. It's in Seatown, UK, a 4,000-ton rock fall fell down. They said avoid that area. So, what am I driving at? There's something going on, and I've been sort of predicting this for the last year and a half. Greater volcanic and earthquake activity, geocosmic. There's something that's affecting the Earth now. Some of the extreme theorists are saying, God, we could be headed for a polar shift, and God forbid that happens. That means we're all goners, because a polar shift would, just destroy civilization. In fact, that's one of the things that probably destroyed previous civilizations on the planet. The Earth's axis suddenly changed. There would be like 1,000-mile-an-hour winds, and it would be just a horrible event if something like that's coming. But there might be a planetary object out there. There may be just something. I wouldn't speculate it has anything to do with the moon itself. Maybe solar. There's something going on that I felt would create more earthquakes, more volcanic activity. When you see cliffs falling, volcanoes erupting, there's something going on, and there could be some food shortages potentially related to this, and this is just something that I've been sort of researching the last couple of years that could be unfolding. So the more of these type of things I see, the more I write about them. You know, the average stock market commentator, I'm just looking at the charts, or I'm listening to what the financial commentators are looking at. I mean, I'm looking at everything, and, you know, we're pawns in a very big game, and we think that we have control of our destiny, and the truth is we have very little control, particularly when Mother Nature is involved. So this could be something brewing out there, and I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing more greater volcanic activity, whether it's related to solar or other effects, or there could be some other object floating out there not too far from the Earth that might be affecting us that many don't even want to talk about. I've seen some pictures of some objects in the sky that, you know, just totally being discounted as either created or false images. There's something going on. I've been putting this in my newsletter for weeks and weeks, and just people looking at it and they go, oh, this guy must be nuts, or these must be doctored up photos. So if there's something out there, or the Earth is running into some type of point in the solar system that's creating or potentially creating these type of events, boy, that will affect the stock market and your gold and your cryptos and everything else at some point. Or maybe it's just nice to talk about. These are just the normal events that happen in the course of the decades, and it's like global warming. People think that that's caused by us, but we know it has to do with grander cycles that have been around for thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of years. So if it's part of that big plan of what the cycle for the planet, then I may be making more of it than I should. But I am seeing some correlations here, and you know, what are we going to do about it, Jim? I mean, the truth is, if there is something like that happening, I mean, you know, it affects our crops, our health, all kinds of other things. Obviously, if you're sitting next to the volcano in the down in the Caribbean, St. Vincent, you know, you could care less about the stock market. You want to get the hell out of there so you're not fried or you don't die from the ash that's falling on you. So different levels of survival here. I mean, you know, it's going to affect the stock market, and who cares if it does, I suppose, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. But if it's a grander event and it's a planetary event, it's going to affect all of us in a bigger way. And I don't want to get too far off. We could talk about this another time, but you asked the question. I am monitoring it. I think there is something going on, and if you start seeing more of this type of cliffs falling and volcanic activity occurring, then it could be a warning of something, unfortunately, even more significant on the horizon.
Mark, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Have a great day, and thanks for letting your listeners hear from Mark Leibovit at VR Trader.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He was speaking to us from Arizona. If you have any questions for Mark or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.